Hey, Sam.
Hey Bev, how's it going?
Oh, man, is it Tuesday already?
Yeah,
We're recording this really late. Oops.
I know. But I feel like I need a drink more than I do on a Sunday. So this kind of works.
That is a very good point.
And tonight, I brought the whole bottle of wine in here with me.
Yes,
So I can just gluk, 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 gluk. I don't know if you can hear it.
I can hear that. And I was pouring my beer at the same time. I decided not to open it while I was sitting here after what happened last time. I didn't need a repeat of that because my room smelled
Oh
like
yeah.
beer for like 3 days because it really did overflow like all over the place. And we were in the middle of recording, so I couldn't get up and like go get anything to clean it up. So it sat there for quite a while.
Oh well. That's like what, work hazard? We'll call it a work
Yeah,
hazard.
work hazard. I like that. We need like some work comp up in here. What if I had slipped in that puddle?
You'd be paying yourself, I guess.
They'd be like, no, you don't get paid to do this anyways.
Not
What
yet,
are you thinking?
anyways. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking that Jackie O's Goza that I posted on the
Oh.
Drinkin' Farm. Yeah, I was surprised I was able to hold on to it for that long since we ended up not recording that night. But I'm glad that I did because I think that the word Goza and goat go together really well for some reason. So I'm drinking a Goza out of my goat glass.
Oh, I enjoy that. It's kind of funny.
I really regret not naming one of my goats Goza. I almost did because I was like, Goza goat. I really like that. And my husband was
Ah, well,
like,
that just means you need another goat already.
so what are you drinking?
So I am drinking a wine called Nectar. It's from Uncle John's Cider Mill, which is a local cider mill in St. John's, Michigan. It's not too far from my house, but I used to go there all of the time in college because it was super close to Central Michigan University. Fire up chips. And we go there a lot, and they have wines and hard ciders, and they've really expanded the past couple of years. So they're always at the Naperville Ale Fest too. So that's always a fun place, little booth for me to visit. But all their stuff is super reasonable as far as like price range goes and totally delicious. And all of their wines are honey wines. So they're all very sweet and yummy.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Honey wine. Are you going to drink the whole bottle?
I mean, it's only 10.5% alcohol by volume, which is considered like a lighter body. So, you know, it'd be tougher for me to probably finish a whole bottle of like 14% wine. But this, I don't know. We'll see how long this podcast goes and how silly Sam gets by the end of it.
Right. Well, we do have a lot of stuff to cover. I had to check out what the alcohol was on my beer. It's 5.2%. And I forgot to give you a description of it. It's a stainless conditioned mixed culture beer brewed with salt and coriander, and it is delicious.
Whoa, so fancy.
I wish it was one of those 1.5 bottles like what I had last time. I might have to take a break to go get a second beer. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, I'm like reading mine. It says white wine with honey and other natural flavors added, but I'm guessing they added some sugar in here. I can't tell for sure, but yes, it says a white wine is blended with vibrant peach flavor, honey, and spices. So I definitely taste the peach and honey in there. It's pretty good. I thought
Mm.
it was appropriate for, Easter's coming this weekend, and allegedly it's spring, even though the weather's been kind of cold. I don't know about how it's been in Ohio, but it's been kind of cold here and not super sunny and happy.
Oh, it's actually been terrible here. Well, I guess it was sunny. Was it sunny on Sunday? I can't remember anymore. What did I do on Sunday? Oh yeah, I ripped out an entire hedge of bushes, which I meant to look up what kind of bushes they were, because I wanted to talk about it for some reason. I called them trash bushes. I don't know what they were. But anyways, I ripped them out. I like used an axe and I like full on like Paul Bunyaned it. I bought some blueberry bushes so that I can put them in there.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, ugly bushes, garbage bushes. Now they're going to be blueberry bushes. I like that.
They won't give us any blueberries until like next year or something like that though. I don't know. I put it in my Instagram stories when I bought them. Actually, I bought them on my birthday. I bought myself a lot of birthday presents this year.
Well, it's always a good excuse.
9 blueberry bushes were one of them.
Nice. But I mean, that's a gift that keeps giving, though, right?
Yeah, that's very true. Although it was really funny when I was doing the research on it, I was like, ooh, blueberries. And then I was like, oh shit, blueberries like acidic soil. We've got like crazy clay soil here.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, what am I going to do to amend the soil? So I started, asking the Google how to take care of blueberry bushes. And I found this really great site that told you how to like put them in a raised bed and mix all of the soil components and whatnot that you needed to have totally acidic soil that blueberries just totally love. And so I drew it out on like a piece of graph paper and I calculated the cubic feet of all of the different things that I needed for this perfect soil. And it was going to be like $400.
Mm.
My husband was like, we would not spend $400 on blueberries like in our lifetime. So the answer is no to that. I was like, well, what else can I do? So I Googled a couple of other things, and one person was just like, yeah, like it's ammonium chloride, I believe. I'll correct myself in the show notes if I'm wrong about that. But I bought a 25-pound bag of ammonium chloride yesterday, or not yesterday, Sunday. What day is today? Today's Tuesday. 2 days ago,
Yes.
when I ripped those bushes out, I just sprinkled like half of the bag out there and then watered it. And then I stuck my pH meter in there and the pH was perfect. But I'm going to let them like sit for a couple more days. I want it to rain in before I plant the blueberries in the ground just to make sure I don't like burn the roots all up or anything with all the
Mm.
ammonium chloride that's out there. Plus, I got to buy a bunch of mulch so that I can keep it all moist and good. So, still have a few more steps, but it's going to be worth it.
Yes. Of course. I did strawberry bushes last year and those did well, our ground here just sucks and I didn't really take care of it and I didn't weed, but the stuff that I did in containers was really good. So I think I'm going to try to do like some containers of strawberry bushes and hope that goes better because the goats love strawberries. They're obsessed with them.
Ooh, maybe I'll plant some extra strawberries this year too. My strawberries in my pots did super well last year. The ones in the ground didn't do anything. And then the deer ate all the ones in the ground over the winter,
Mm,
so they're gone. Good old deer.
yeah. Yeah, circle of life and stuff.
Right. A good gardener plants 3 times more than they really need. They plant a third for themselves, a third for the animals, and then like a third for the weather.
Mm.
I think that's how the saying goes. I can't remember. I was never a very good gardener, so last year was like my best year and it was relatively terrible. So,
Yeah, I'm not super great at it either, but I was like at the checkout at Walmart, I think it was like Saturday, and the lady was like looking at my Prego spaghetti sauce and she's like, "Oh, I haven't had to buy this in years because I can and I garden and it's so relaxing and da 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 da." And I had like serious garden envy, but at the same time, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna pay the $1.50 for the Prego and just, throw it in the little pot and warm it up and be just as happy, I'm sure. I don't find it relaxing.
well, it's funny. Like with all of those hobbies, like you have to really like doing that. I did not can a lot last year because it was so different to be somewhere where I could be outside during the summertime. So that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to trap myself in my kitchen while it was tomato season and like stand over a hot boiling stove to save all of this stuff. So I froze some things. I didn't really do any canning. I didn't can anything last year, if I'm remembering right. Maybe I canned like some pickles and that was it. Um, but yeah, you got to really like doing that if you're gonna save enough like to have it during the wintertime.
Oh, for sure. I'm a huge fan of pickles, so I feel like I want to try that and maybe some salsa. And I feel like just start small. And I think sometimes I just try to do too much and I get very excited in my head and I'm like, I'm gonna be a gardening badass and I'm going to do all of this. And then like none of it came up except for some strawberries and the peppers and the herbs I had did really good. But the stuff in the pots, like I said, did better. But I feel like I want to start small. We did have one of our listeners, and I can't remember what one it was. She wanted us to talk about gardening and canning. So I
Mm.
feel like we should maybe just, do it for the podcast and then talk about our fails and arc
Oh,
successes.
yeah. That's a great idea. Well, I did have sort of an idea, and we can kind of hash this out on the show a little bit, or if this sounds super terrible while I'm editing it, this will get cut, and I'll throw it on for the Patreon listeners to get to enjoy it. But one of my ideas was since we have an episode every week, or we have like, like one really big episode every week, I thought like in the interim, when we had time, like maybe once a month or once every other month, we could do a little mini-sode where we actually like focused on it a category. I don't know how focused we're really gonna stay because the second that beer opens, like we're gonna bullshit for an extra 30 minutes probably. But we can give it a try.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
maybe we can record it after we've already like
Yeah.
recorded an episode. We'll be like, hey, like, that gardening topic we were talking about, like we did not get deep enough into that. So after we're done wrapping up the regular episode, let's sit down and just record this extra 30 minutes where we really like talk about something, that we know about or have experience with.
Oh, yeah.
We're not really experts in anything, so
No, no, but we could be like actually come prepared and like do a deep dive. Like it could be like a lunch and learn, but with booze. So it'll be like a booze and learn. I like that. But if we do it at the end of an episode, I don't know how focused we're gonna be because we'll be like a couple beverages in by then. But it might be even more fun. Have you ever watched that show on Comedy Central called Drunk History?
it's one of my favorite shows. And in fact, anytime I've had like more than 3 beers in a row, Drunk History is exactly what I want to watch because nothing makes me happier when I'm drunk than watching drunker people because it always makes me feel very superior.
Yes. See, we could do our own version. Like, I don't want to call it drunk farming because that just sounds like you're gonna get on a tractor while you're drunk, and that would be very bad.
That
But we
sounds
could come up
dangerous.
with like a clever name. Maybe our listeners could help us come up with this name if they have a clever idea, because I have none at the moment. So I'm throwing that out to the listeners.
You know what we could do is each episode can be named like drunk in whatever the topic is. So, like drunk canning, like drunk gardening,
Ooh, I
drunk
like that.
goat vaccinations.
Drunk chicken breeding.
There we go. See, I think we're onto something here.
I think so too. The listeners are like witnessing brilliance happen
And they're
right
probably like,
before their ears.
what the hell are they even talking about? I've like referenced a bunch of stuff that we haven't even talked about yet. So, yeah, I was gonna
Sneak peeks.
Right? I was gonna save this until the end of the episode, like while we signed off, but I think now is a pretty good time to sort of like mention the Patreon thing that we started. Don't you think?
Yes. Yes. Talk you I feel like you know more about it than I do, so I'll let you talk about it so I don't say wrong things.
Well, so what we did, so Sam and I were kind of brainstorming about this podcast, and we had to buy some things to, like get it started and buy like domain names and the web hosting and whatnot. And we thought like, wouldn't it be nice if we could get some nicer mics so that our sound could be nicer? And then, like we got invited somewhere. We're like, are we gonna ask them for gas money or like, are we just gonna pay for it? Like, and then I realized that a lot of creators out there, they use this platform and it's called Patreon. And what it does is it gives those creators, like listeners or viewers or readers, an opportunity to sort of invest themselves a little bit into the thing that the people are creating. So we went ahead and started a Patreon. I know it seems kind of early since we just started this, but we are recording episode number 6. So even though it hasn't even been a month, like we're pretty far into this. Like we've invested a lot of time. We're having a lot of fun. You guys seem to be enjoying it. So we were like, yeah, let's go ahead and start this. So we have a Patreon out there. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. And in fact, there will be a link to it in every show notes from here on out so that you have the opportunity to give a couple dollars a month if you want to. We didn't do anything crazy, like $2 a month, and you can see the Patreon feed. We'll put things out there like where we're recording at when we record live. So just people who are on Patreon, like got invited to that. We did one for $5 a month, and we're hoping we can order some like decals and bottle openers and koozies and whatnot. And when we reach the goal to get to do that, we'll order all that stuff and we'll mail it to the people who have been giving us $5 a month. One of our goals is to buy mics. I put that a little farther down on the list than I probably should have, but yeah, we'll buy new mics eventually. And maybe someday I'll get a donkey because
Yes.
we reached a stretch goal. I don't know, but you'll have to check it out,
Oh
see what you think.
yeah.
We appreciate you guys just listening though. And like seriously, we're really blown away by the response that we've gotten. So like if you can't give a couple dollars a month towards it, like don't sweat it. That's not why we do
Oh
this.
hell no. Yeah,
So
no, this is just like for funsies, and like Bev and I kind of say have said before, like we need that creative outlet. And so really you guys are doing us a favor by listening every month. So we're just or every week, excuse me. But we're super happy with that. But we have all these like crazy brilliant ideas, and that stuff takes money, unfortunately. But like I have this crazy idea like next summer I want to be like, hey listeners, Bev and Sam are going on a wine trail trip and we want you to come with us. So I mean, if you're into that sort of thing, you might be wanting to check out that Patreon deal so you can get in on that someday.
that sounds awesome.
I
I
mean,
like wine trails. I don't remember the last time I've done a wine trail.
I don't think I've ever
It's
done
been
a
a
wine
while.
trail, so I need to, like, for science and for podcasting. But I also think that a beer trail would be fun, if that's a thing, or like the bourbon trail would be a good time too.
Yeah, I mean, I know some places do like an ale trail. I think that's what they usually call it, an
Mm,
ale trail.
that sounds, yeah. That's catchy. I like it. Now I have to do that too.
That is super catchy. Well, and what's so cool too, is like, well, you guys kind of know the area that we live in. Sam's in like central Michigan and I'm in like southern Ohio. There's a huge area in between us, like to be explored.
Oh, yes.
And met at. So there's so many cool things that go on in Michigan. Michigan is one of my favorite places to vacation to. I tried to talk my husband into moving up there when we first decided to move, but he said that he couldn't live in Michigan during football season.
Oh my God. Ew, is he an Ohio State fan?
Of
Oh my
course, we're
God.
Ohio State fans.
Ew, boo. The band is breaking up. Boo. Especially with like March Madness and stuff going on right now. Like, yeah, go blue.
Oh, we don't watch basketball. We
See,
only watch college football.
see, we really don't either. And like, I really wouldn't care about March Madness if Michigan or Michigan State weren't like winning. But because Michigan is, I kind of care. But yeah, we're huge football fans. We're more like NFL fans.
Oh, okay.
Detroit Lions because we like to be disappointed regularly.
I was gonna say, man, you are a glutton for punishment.
Oh yeah, we had season tickets last year too, so we
Oh my
were
goodness.
punished repeatedly. But hey, we have a new coach this year, so we'll see what happens. But we also like college football too, obviously. I just
Yeah.
like football. They hit each other, and that's kind of fun for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
See, and college football is the only thing we watch. But I also don't spend a lot of time watching TV. Like, whenever I watch TV shows, it's always way after they're over. And
Oh.
then I just binge watch them on Netflix when I have spare time. Because, like, my husband's been gone for, he just got back tonight. So he was gone for like 5 days, I think. I only turned on the TV once, and it was because I realized that The Greatest Showman came out to like order
Oh.
digitally on Amazon, and the kids loved that movie. So I ordered it really quick, and we sat there and watched The Greatest Showman. But otherwise, the TV didn't get turned on at all while he was gone.
Oh wow. See, I'm one of those people that has to sleep with the TV on. So I just like background noise. Like it drives my husband crazy. But I that's just like how I grew up and now I'm like stuck on it. And like when I'm working from home too, I like the TV in the background for the background noise too. It's usually like really crappy reality TV if I'm watching it while I'm working because I'm not really paying attention. But yeah, I'm a background noise fan for sure.
I would put on House Hunters International. That would be my guilty background
Ooh,
show if I had
that's
one.
a good one. Where
Yeah.
they're always like, I am a pineapple farm worker and my budget is $500,000 for this house. Like that just drives me up a wall.
That's part of the fun of the show.
It's like how hopefully someday we can be like, I'm part of a podcast that talks about drinking and farming, and my budget is $2 million, and I'm gonna get 100 acres and this huge farm. Like the goals.
Yeah, Bev and Sam don't dream big or anything.
Not at all. No. We're not, no, we're not thinking like 5 years down the road. We're like, let's go to Scotland and record. That'd be a great time. We don't do that at
No,
all.
never.
No, not at all.
Mm-mm, not here. So I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, how am I gonna get us back on track?
I
How?
know. It's like we're already so far in, and I'm like, we haven't talked about farming at all.
So
Whoops. Sorry, guys.
I literally just have a note here that says pig penis. So I have to ask what that's all about.
Let me finish refilling my glass for this one. Oh my God. So, you know, I wasn't drunk and I got a pig on St. Patrick's Day, in case you guys missed that one. He is a Juliana pig. He is 6 months old and he is very cute. He still has quite a bit of stranger danger. We've had him for almost a week and a half now. But this weekend, he was wandering around and starting to get used to us. We've been training him with, well, it feels like bribing, but training him with treats to allow us to pet him and things like that. So he was out for quite a bit on Saturday. And all of a sudden, I look over at him and he's like humping the air. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what a little boy. Like total boy pig, whatever. And then I look back over again and his little penis starts to come out. And at first it was like this little nubbin looking thing. And it kind of had a little spiral to it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of adorable. You know, it's so tiny. Oh. And then it just keeps coming out and out and out. And I shit you not, this thing was like 6 inches long and thin
Whoa.
and spirally like a corkscrew. And I'm like, no, no, you're my little sweet boy pig. You're not supposed to have one of those. Put it back, put it back, put it back. And then he starts, I'm trying to think of a word that's not like super inappropriate and gross, but he starts spooging.
Spooging?
It's probably
Oh
like
no.
his man
No.
juices start coming out like little by
Oh
little as he's like
no.
walking around. So he's like marking his territory, which I knew was a thing and that they would do, but I wasn't expecting it still. So we're like, oh my God, oh my God. So we like kind of, because he's still scared of us, like he doesn't like us to get super close to him. So we had to like kind of shift around him to get him to go back in his crate. Because I don't care if he does that like in his bed or whatever, but he did it like on our rug and it was easy for my husband to clean up. But I never thought, if you would have told me a year ago, or especially 2 years ago, we'd be cleaning up pig sperm in our living room, I would have told you to shut your face. Because, I mean, who deals with that ever? Like, honestly, I had been warned, but nothing can prepare you for seeing that. Like, nothing. It was more traumatizing than seeing a duck penis. And those are kind of like the same idea where it's like spirally and way longer than you expected. But,
Oh, you mean ducks don't do
oh,
it like chickens do? I guess I just always assumed it was
no.
like chickens did.
No, and you actually have to be careful with ducks around chickens because if you get an aggressive drake, he can actually try to have relations with a hen, and because their penises are corkscrewed as well, it can do a lot of damage to the inside of a hen.
Oh,
So you
that's
kind of
good to
have to keep an
know.
eye on that because they're just, the hens are built for the rooster parts and the ducks are built for the duck parts. So sometimes the ducks just don't care. Um, and that can go really badly.
Well, yeah, because like I know chickens, I don't have any roosters, but I do know that they do that thing. They call it like I always pronounce everything wrong. It's like the cochlea kiss. Did I pronounce that right?
I think so.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
their vents just kind of like turn inside out just a little bit and like give a little smooch. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it.
I've seen the chickens do it, but I can't figure it out. You look at it and you're like, huh, that's kind of strange. But with ducks, like, it is so violent. It looks like the male duck is trying to drown the female duck.
Oh yeah, because they're in the water.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they'll do it on dry land, which is when I saw the duck penis, which it looks like a freaking rotini noodle. And it's just bigger than you think and floppy. Like, ugh. I never thought I would have to deal with so much like animal genitalia in my life.
Like, I guess, the nice thing is, growing up on the farm, like, the kids will ask their questions, like, once, and then they'll get it, and then it's not gonna be, like, weird or, like, taboo to them, because, like, we're gonna have to have whole conversations about breeding the goats if we want to have goat kids, and
Yeah, that's true. And like I feel like as a child, like my grandparents are dairy farmers and my dad's dad, so my grandpa, he bred horses and I remember seeing a horse mount another horse and saying, "What's happening?" But never really getting a straight answer. And my parents and I never really had the sex talk or anything, but I feel like with my stepkids, either they already have it figured out or, in the age of Google, it's probably just easy for them to figure it out at this point. I didn't have Google back
yeah,
in
I
the
didn't
day.
either.
But I mean, when little Loki humped my stepdaughter, I'm like, okay, you probably have an idea of what's going on here. You're not stupid. She's so smart. I mean, both of them really are. I was like, oh boy, okay, well, when you live on the farm, that's what happens.
So, if you fix Hamlet the second, is it called fixing? Like castrate? If you castrate Hamlet the second, will all of that go away?
Neutering.
Neutering. Oh, there we go. That's a better word for it.
So I think the marking of territory will be cut back on quite a bit, if not at all, like all the way. But I mean, his little noodle might still come out sometimes.
Oh, just like dogs. I mean, like,
Yeah,
when you fix a male
yeah.
dog a little late, like that's kind of what they do. Yeah. We always called it the lipstick.
Oh my gosh. I would say a goat could be compared to that too, though, because Biscuit,
Hmm.
I've seen his come out before, and like we got him fixed at a reasonable time, and his still, he's still a boy. He just
Yeah,
can't knock anybody up, you know.
which is useful.
Yeah, it's probably like a human vasectomy, really. I mean, it still works, it just doesn't work the same way. So
Okay.
it, I think that would be a safe comparison because I feel like when you live on the farm and you're around animals a lot, especially when you have male and female animals, you realize that while humans are different, a lot of the basic drives and needs are very much the same.
They are.
Yes.
We're much closer to farm animals than we would like to believe.
Yes. I mean, they talk about apes all the times, but I think we need a serious comparison between, goats and donkeys and dogs and cats and everything else.
Well, that's good that that will kind of go away when he gets fixed. And you guys will definitely fix him. Like, you have no interest in
Yes.
breeding him. Like, you won't, like, go get a female pig or anything, or.
Well, I mean, I thought about it until I saw it happen. And then I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? If we do that, it's going to have to be like in an outdoor area. And don't have that built right now. And, that'll be like a future thing. After we like know more about pigs in general, maybe. Um, but I was talking to an Instagram friend that she's actually pretty local and she also has some piggies for sale that are Juliana and mini potbelly pig mixes, I believe. They're super cute. But she got hers neutered and spayed locally at a place that seems pretty reasonably priced. So I'm gonna call over there and see if I can get him in sooner rather than later. Just because he's to the point where he wants to be out and around us more. So if he doesn't, he starts throwing a little piggy fit in his little pen area. So I want him to be out and about more because he'll just get used to us faster. But yeah, he's definitely being watched pretty closely right now when he is out.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't want to step in anything. That would be
No, that sounds
bad.
like the worst surprise on the floor ever. I mean, that's like even worse than like, finding, like poop on the floor. I don't know. I'd rather find poop on the floor, definitely.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I think I'd rather step on a Lego than step in
Ooh, a Lego.
pig business. Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of gross.
I can definitely see that. Well, right now all of my animals are still little babies, so I don't have to worry about that yet, at least for now.
Oh
Never
yeah.
grow up,
Oh yeah,
goaties.
not yet. Speaking of goats, how's that been going?
Oh, it's been going really well. They're still on 4 bottles a day. I keep finding conflicting information on when they need to be taken down to 3. But I did up their bottles to 8 ounces because they seemed like they were just so hungry still after they were done with 6. So they get 4 bottles a day, 8 ounces. Tonks, she's the little tan one. She just got her CD&T shot today. And then I gave her, oh, I was pronounced this word wrong too. Coccidosis. Is that right?
Oh, coccidiosis?
Coccidiosis. That's what it is.
Yes. Yes.
Got it. I will never say that wrong again. She got that
Yeah,
treatment.
you will.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
fine.
going to say it wrong all the time.
I mean, have another beer and tell me how to say it again.
Ask me in an hour. Yeah, she had to get that little treatment done today, and she did really well. It was super easy. The guy in our local feed store was really nice. It seemed like it wasn't too big of a deal. Like he just pinched the skin above her little front arm, pulled it out, put the needle in sideways, and made sure that, like the needle wasn't in any meat, let it go, and then you rubbed it really good so that it spread all out and didn't create that little knot. She hardly noticed. She did jump like just a tiny bit, but I just held her. And then she ran around and she explored the feed store for the next 20 minutes. So she had a great old time.
Aw. Okay, so I was just talking to my husband about this. We live like parallel lives or something. Um, because we were like, oh, all the big goats need like they need it annually and it's about that time. So I was like, oh, we're gonna have to drag them all to the vet. And we're like, maybe we should just learn to do it ourselves. So I vote when you do the other ones, if you do them yourselves, to have maybe your husband or one of the kids like take a video so I can watch how you do it. And then we can post it on the Patreon feed for our Patreon listeners.
Yeah, we can totally do that. And we'll film the first one and then we'll film the second one also. I have a feeling the first one will fight just a little more and be a little more tricky, but then the second one will go smoothly. He
Yeah.
made it look so easy. And this wouldn't be the first time I've stuck a needle in a creature. So for my work, I have a funny story to tell. So I work for a company that saves the imperiled fishes of the desert Southwest. And so when I lived in Arizona, I went into the field just a couple of times. I didn't get to go very often. I'm mostly an office person. All of the scientists went into the field all the time. But I got to go and help with some fish surgeries. We inserted pit tags inside the bellies of these endangered native fishes, and my job was to in the antibiotics after they got sutured back up. And I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to hand the accountant the needle and give these fish the antibiotic shots. But the very first shot I gave to fish, their skin looks like it's like, their scales, they look like they're really hard to punch into. So I wanted to make sure that I, got the needle through. So punched it in really hard and everybody was like, and I was like, oh no. It turned out the fish was fine. Like when it woke up, it swam away, and we were like, "All right, the fish is gonna be good." But I was like, "Oh my goodness, did I just kill this endangered native fish?" What was it, 6 months into my job? I mean, I've been working for this company for 8 years, but not full time. I'd just been doing their bookkeeping and stuff. And it was just a couple of months after they had asked me to come on full time. I was like, oh my God, they just hired me and I just killed a native fish. So I was so relieved when it woke up.
Oh my
But so I was a little
gosh.
traumatized. And so the guy was showing me it's not that big of a deal. You don't gotta push it in. I was like, oh, I'm glad that you showed me what kind of effort that took. Because last time I did this,
I mean, when you don't have anything to compare it to, it's the first time you're jabbing a creature with a needle. I mean, can't really blame you.
right? I mean, because skin is a little tougher, than it looks. I don't think it's super easy to jab a needle into your arm. I always watch people, when they draw your blood and stuff, they
Oh.
always kind of,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just not a huge fan of needles. I've come a long way since I was a child. My mom would have to bribe me with Barbies when I was super young, when you have to go get all your vaccines and stuff. I would hide behind the couch And like it would take like 5 nurses to hold me down for a finger prick. Like seriously hated needles.
Oh
In high
no.
school, they had a just like somebody come in from the Red Cross. Is that what it is? Red Cross?
Yep, that's the Red Cross.
Yeah,
They
the
do the
blood
blood
people.
donations. Yep, the blood people.
Yeah.
Not vampires.
Ooh, wine, yeah. But they came in just to talk about it, and I got woozy and had to put my head down on my desk. And I used to like pass out every single time I'd get blood drawn or a needle poke or anything. But lately I've been better. It did help that one of my jobs when I worked for a local health system was to collect blood samples from patients. Like I wasn't the one doing the poking or anything, but I had to handle like the vials, and sometimes we'd have to go into the OR to get the samples because sometimes they'd just do them while they were under anesthesia if they couldn't get the poke in when the IV went in. So that way the patient didn't have to experience like more than one poke when they were awake. But we were studying like genomics and how genomic makeups have they were trying to see if like your genetic makeup had an effect on how many opioids you took after you had certain kinds of surgeries. That was one of the studies.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so then eventually the idea was to have precision medicine. So based on your genetic makeup, they would know what kind of prescriptions to give you or what kind of treatments to give you based on your genetic makeup. So it was kind of a big deal. But because I was around needles and blood so much, like now I don't really pass out or anything. So that's an improvement, but it's like an even bigger deal that I'm considering to learn how to do these CD&T shots in the goats. And but I just feel like it would be so much easier to just be able to do some of that stuff yourself.
I'm trying to imagine moving them around. I mean, the Nigerian dwarf goats aren't super big. What, like their withers, when they're fully grown, they'll be like 21 or 22 inches high. So their heads are just
Mhm.
like a little above your
Mhm.
knee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll be easy enough to take places. If you've got enough crates, you can like put the seat down, like
Mhm. Yeah.
in the Wrangler and do Wrangler seats go flat?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
We put a huge dog kennel back there. That's how we've hauled the goats. So
Perfect.
it
Yeah.
definitely
So
fits.
you
Yes.
can haul them around. But one thing that I noticed when I took Tonks out, she did not care for being away from the place that she was most comfortable. And I was thinking about it. I mean, my husband hasn't been home. He would have totally been the voice of reason and told me that Tonks was not going to stay in a little tiny box in the front seat of the car while I was driving to go take her to good. Wish I would have taken it. Sometimes I'm really terrible at remembering to do all of those things. But yeah, I dropped the kids off at school and had this goat jumping around the whole inside of the car. Kids got a big kick out of that. Thankfully, she didn't go to the bathroom in the car. But once she got on my lap, she kind of settled down. So I felt like weird. I was like driving to the feed store with like this goat sitting on my
Aw,
lap.
that's too cute.
But she was very nervous, like inside the feed store. She peed twice. She was like kind of poking around. She was following me. She was, doing her little like crying noise at me.
Aw.
And I was like, oh, you're kind of scared. Like, you don't have your herd mates with
Yeah.
you. Like, you're not in a place that you're familiar with. And like, I'm trying to do stuff with the feed store guys because I needed to get some stuff for the chickens because I just found out that they had lice. So I
Mm,
wasn't just like, doing one thing at the feed store because I was there. I was like, well, shit, I gotta like get all this stuff done. And like, yeah, goats prefer to stay with their herd and in their familiar place.
for sure. Yeah, when we took Loki, or not Loki, Biscuit, gosh, it's like my mom when I was growing up, she would say like 3 names before she got to mine when she was talking about me. That's how I feel with these
How
goats.
many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have a half brother that's like 10 years older than me, and then a younger brother. But sometimes she'd throw in the dog's name too, or my
Oh,
cousin's names.
come on,
So
mom.
yeah. Yeah. So that's how I feel about my goats now. So I totally get it, Mom. I forgive you. Um, but when we went to get Biscuit fixed, I didn't even think of maybe putting Maya in there with him because he did cry like the whole way. And I think it was because he thought he was being separated from her. But he
Mm,
was just, getting his balls sliced open. And then he was very quiet on the way home.
yeah. Well, I was kind of expecting her to be a little quiet after her shot, but nope, she was fine. She couldn't have cared less.
Oh,
She was
good.
totally cool. The only thing she didn't like was when I weighed her in the mixing bowl on my kitchen scale so that I knew how much of a dose to give her of the, you know, that one stuff that prevents that C word.
Coccidiosis.
Coccidiosis. There we go. I'm just gonna
Yes.
keep saying it like I say people's names when I meet them so that I won't forget it.
Oh, I'm horrible with names. I'm the worst with names. But I can like recall the stupidest random like things, but not names. Nope.
Yeah, so my chickens have lice.
Yeah, like tell me that story because I knew about it, but I didn't know like the discovery story and your resolution that you've made.
Well, I feel like the worst chicken mom ever because shortly after Artemis died, which was a while ago now, I am terrible for not knowing exactly how long ago it was, but it was over a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that the other silver lace Wyandotte, her name is Hermione, I noticed that her back feathers didn't look right. They looked like all rough because I just spent a lot of time with Artemis, like grooming her and whatnot, so I knew how pretty she looked. I was looking at Hermione and I was like, she does not look right. Like, why do her back feathers look so terrible? And then I realized, oh, like both of the silver lace Wyandottes were on the bottom of the pecking order to begin with. So I was like, she doesn't have her buddy with her. She's probably just getting picked on a little bit. I'll make sure that she
Mm.
gets a little extra and I'll give her a little extra attention. But I didn't really want to separate her because they weren't drawing blood and nothing, like, so I didn't worry about it too much. Well, over the last week or so, it was like getting progressively worse. And I was like, man, she's looking
Aw.
super ratty. I was like, I either have to separate her or I got to sit out here and figure out who the mean chicken is that is picking on her. But I knew that if she was on the bottom of the pecking order, separating her wasn't necessarily the right thing to do either because reintroducing her was going to be really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to like go get another hen to introduce her with or something. I didn't know what to do. So I was just kind of like, well, I gotta wait this out and figure out what to do. I've got these like brand new goats that I'm bottle feeding, 4 times a day. Like she looks relatively healthy except for her back looked terrible. And then when I was out there on Sunday, another hen had a really terrible looking back. And when she bent over, all of the area around her vent was like picked clean, like
Mm.
totally clean. Not one feather back there. And I was like, oh, son of a bitch. They're doing it to another chicken. Like, who is my meanie? And I'm standing out there. They're free ranging. I'm standing out there. I'm like, which hen is doing it? I'm going to separate that one. No one did anything
Oh
like to
no.
each other. I'm like, how is this possible? And then I went out yesterday. Three hens have terrible looking backs. A fourth one, it was getting a little rough looking. I was like, gosh, this is getting bad. So I scrambled them some eggs because I read that feather picking can be caused by a protein deficiency or stress. Like I went out there, I'm like, what out here could be causing them stress? I had my winter lights were still coming on in the morning and the evening. They used to just come on for like 30 minutes while the sun was setting so that they can get into the roosts and sit because the way that the window is facing inside their coop, they don't really get any light in there anymore once the sun has like gone below a certain point. So I wanted them to be able to see the roosts and get up. So I was giving them like 30 minutes or an hour after dusk if I didn't have the light come on. They wouldn't get up for like 3 hours after sunrise for a little
Right.
bit. So I had it coming on like an hour before twilight so that they could, start getting moved around. And when the door opened, they could run right out. I turned all of those off because I thought, well, maybe the days are too long. And giving them that extra hour in the morning, hour in the evening is too much for them. And that's stressing them out. So I turned out all the automatic lights that went off. I cleaned the coop out, or my son and I cleaned the coop out. He did super awesome yesterday because it was, like 5 o'clock in the evening or 6 o'clock in the evening when I decided that the coop had to be cleaned. And he just like jumped right in and helped me.
Oh, that's
He's
awesome.
12 and he did great. And I grabbed a flashlight because someone on Instagram was like, hey, so my chickens look like that. And it was lice. I was like, lice. I was like, it's been too cold here for lice. There's no way it's lice. So, I tackled a chicken and I held it and I shined the flashlight in it and I was like, hey, Orion, I need you to look in here and tell me like if you see anything weird. He's 12, he's never seen a picture of lice on chickens or like, like the egg sacs on chickens. So like he's probably not going to see it. I'm going to have to make him hold him and hug him and I'm going to have to dig through him. Nope, I picked it up and he goes, "Oh my God, there's stuff crawling all over them." It's like,
Oh,
"Oh
oh no.
no." So it was that bad. I was like, "Ugh," I'm like,
Oh.
chickens can die from lice. So this is like bad. And it's been going on for a while.
Ah.
Now, they had been kind of yelling at me when I'd been going out to the coop lately, and I thought that they were just jealous of the baby goats. I was like, shush, chickens. I still love you. I'm still bringing you guys treats all the time. I still come out here and spend time with you. But really, they were just trying to tell me that they were really itchy.
Aw.
So, yeah, so they had lice. And of course, like, I didn't have anything on hand to treat their lice. But I came inside, I sat down, and I did a little bit of research. I discovered that lime will kill lice and prevent it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we cleaned the coop, like, I took my bag of lime and I threw it, like, all over the floor. I gave it, like, a triple layer than I normally do and threw the straw on top of it. Now, this is like a super controversial thing to use. Diatomaceous earth will also kill lice.
Mm-hmm.
There's a camp out there that says like diatomaceous earth never because it is really bad for the lungs. It's bad for your lungs. It's bad for your chicken's lungs.
Right.
And it's also really bad for the bees. You know, like you don't sprinkle it in places where there's flowering and whatnot. I have it because we had a huge Japanese beetle problem last year.
Oh.
And I bombed my orchard with it after the bees went to bed one night because the Japanese beetles were going to kill my entire orchard. So my husband and I went out there with respirators and this like cardboard tube thing that we made and the gas leaf blower
Mm-hmm.
and we blew diatomaceous earth all over that. And it worked. It did a great job getting rid of the Japanese beetles. And my orchard is still alive because of it. But I was like, well, I've got this. You know, I looked online. Of course, there's the whole camp that's like diatomaceous earth is like gold. It will do everything for you. And then there's the, you know, it's a carcinogen. It will cause lung issues. And I was like looking at my chickens. I'm like, I either treat this lice or there's a possibility one of you guys is dead in the morning. Depending on how long they've had them, lice can kill chickens. I have seen a couple of forums where they did. So I was standing out there and I was like, well, I won't sleep if I don't do something for you guys.
Right.
So I took a tiny, just like pinch of the diatomaceous earth, like per chicken. And in the areas where they had the feathers, where they had been, you know, like obviously picking at them because that's where the lice were living, I rubbed it in there. And then I gathered like a big pile of dust and dirt out of their run and sort of piled it up for them to encourage them to sort of like dust bathe in it.
Okay.
And they all did. It worked pretty well. So each chicken got like a tiny bit pinched on in their feathers. I ruffled it around with my fingers because I wanted to keep their faces away from it while it was kind of settling in. And then they all kind of, you know, like rubbed into it. And I believe it worked because I went to go check on them today and I didn't see anything crawling on them.
Oh, good.
When I checked on them, it had been on there for about 24 hours. I don't know how long it takes to kill the lice, as I know it's not immediate. What it does is it's like this powdered, like it's ground up fossils, so it's
Mm-hmm.
really sharp in its powder form. So what it does is it cuts the exoskeleton of the bugs, and it causes them to dry out. They shrivel up and they die. It doesn't take care of the eggs though, just like most lice treatment doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have to be treated again in about 7 to 10 days to get all the egg sacs off. Everybody's going to get a bath and a spa day as well because I want to clean all the dead bugs out of their feathers. But I was waiting to make sure that I had killed them before I gave them a bath. But I did buy something at the feed store today and it's called Seven Dust.
Mm-hmm.
That's an insecticide and a carcinogen. So one of the things that I figured out when it came to lice treatment was that like there is no super great answer. Just like, you know, when humans get sick, like you gotta take medicine to make it go away if you need it to go away fast. And since I don't know how long they've had lice, I didn't want to wait around for like a holistic treatment
Oh, for sure.
because I was afraid one of them was going to drop dead from lice.
Oh, no, for sure. And like I feel like too with using antibiotics or anything like that too, like there are a lot of people out there that don't want to use antibiotics in their animals or, you know, in their chickens because there's a withdrawal period where you can't eat their eggs and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, it's either you're going to lose your chicken or you're going to do something that might be a little controversial to save it. Like, to each their own, but I would rather do something that might be a little questionable than to lose the animal. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and that's totally where I'm at right now also. And since I hadn't thought that we would get lice, and you know, lice doesn't mean that like their coop was dirty or anything. So like if your chickens end up getting lice, don't think that it was like your fault or, you know, you should have cleaned their coop more often. No, I mean, there are lice all over all of the wild birds. So if you have bird feeders around your property, or you've been, like seeing the robins and all of the other birds, like hopping around telling you that it's springtime, lice are falling off of them. If your chickens are free ranging around the
Oh,
grass, they're picking them up.
interesting.
Yeah, that's where they're getting them from.
Okay.
So it's not like yeah. But I've been free ranging my chickens a little more often than I used to lately. And so I'm assuming that's where they got it from.
See, and we keep like bird feeders around because we have hawks around. So if you have bird feeders up, it attracts the little birds, and the little birds will keep the hawks away.
hmm
So I guess it just, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, well, and those types of parasites, those types of external parasites, like they're not usually an emergency. I think mine kind of became an emergency because I didn't know what to look for. So, everything that I had read about lice was that, like your chickens would be stressed, they would stop laying, they would get lethargic, their combs and wattles would get really pale. None of that stuff happened to my chickens. I had 9 eggs today,
Huh.
and I have 10 chickens.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and they all have lice. So your chickens won't necessarily stop laying just because they have a parasite. Now, my chickens are super young also. They're still first year pullets. So that might have
Oh.
something to do with it as well. But I was positive that all of the nasty feathers were because we had just lost a flock mate. They were sort of resorting their pecking order out, and I just had a meanie on my hand.
hmm
So that was all I was looking out for. I like had sort of blinded myself to everything else that it could have possibly been.
But now you know if there are tushy feathers missing to check for lice.
hmm
You live and you
Yep.
learn.
Well, and they're super obvious too. Even if you didn't see the creepy crawly bugs, they're egg sacs. Like you can see them on the feather shafts. They're so easy
Oh.
to see. And on the light colored birds, there was like a little tiny bit of black speckling in their feathers. That was from them going to the bathroom. So there's all sorts of like, signs to sort of look for, even if you can't see an actual crawling bug.
Oh, I just Googled it. Ew.
Yeah.
I just Googled the lice. That's nasty.
Yeah, isn't that gross? Yeah, so
Ugh.
all 10 of my chickens are gonna need like a really good bath where I rinse all of that stuff off of them because they'll get it. They deserve it. I don't want them like sitting in it. And
Right.
something else is I don't have like an official dust bath either because the coop was already here when I moved in. Like all of the old owner's chickens, like not her stuff, but like it was all set up like exactly the way that she had left it. And she didn't have one. So I was like, well, like she had chickens here for, I don't know, 10 years. Like she might be onto something. Maybe their run, is dusty enough. And I saw them dust bathing in their run. So I was like,
hmm
oh, they're good. They don't need like a separate dust bath. But I think that they do. I need to put one in because it's possible that the ground has just been a little too moist. So they weren't getting good enough dust.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours have like managed to get under the back porch and it's like sandy dirt, so they do it there. But my husband also found huge tractor tires that were like free on the side of the road type deal. So we put one of those in the coop and put a bunch, like we put sand in there, some dirt, some DE for them to like roll around in there. But the only problem with that is they decided to like hang out on the ledge of the tire tractor or the tractor tire and poop all over it,
Yep.
and then poop in it. So yeah, we might have to rework that this summer.
Yeah, and they won't rub around in it when their own poop is in it. So now you kind of created like a chicken litter box.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And like the little ones that don't want to get up and roost with the big chickens because they're intimidated, they'll roost there and poop on it all night long.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I know. I have a funny story to tell you about my husband being out of town.
Oh, okay.
Every year, it's a different time every year. But every year, my husband and my dad and my father-in-law and sometimes my brother and stuff goes. They go to this place in Nevada. It's called Front Sight. They do like this tactical handgun training type of thing.
Oh.
Like teaches you how to like properly like assess, like dangerous situations or, properly confront somebody, that's like burglarizing your house. They do it for fun. They're not like super serious about it. They got invited by like one of my husband's old coworkers and they had so much fun at it like as like a guys weekend thing. So that's where my husband was at. And every year at the very end of it, they have this exercise where you have to save a loved one and
Oh.
it's like, like this target and it's got like two bad guys, like behind your loved one and you write your loved one's name on it. And the first year it was my name, and thankfully he didn't shoot me.
Oh, good.
The second year it was our daughter. And then this third year, he picked Tonks the goat.
Yeah.
So I have a really great picture of my husband holding this target that he, like saved his loved one from the hostages, and it says Tonks on it.
Aw, that's so cute.
And it was like the funniest thing ever. And when he told me that, I was like, really? You picked the goat? I wasn't sure that you would really like the goats, but nope, he loves the goats. He
See,
saved her.
see, I'm sure if he could love goats and chickens, he could love a donkey. Just saying.
Yeah, for sure.
They're pretty cool. I'm not going to drop the donkey thing. You can just say, Sam keeps nagging about this donkey, and I feel like we just need to get it so we can talk about it on the podcast. So you can just blame me.
I forgot to tell him that I added that as a stretch goal on
Oops.
Patreon so that we're kind of like stuck to do it if we meet it.
I mean, I feel like if we reach that goal, you deserve the donkey. Like, hello. The donkey will not be out of reach.
Yeah, maybe I'll get the donkey and the giant chicken.
Oh, the giant chicken from TSC?
Like that big giant metal one.
Okay, so I made a new friend on Facebook. I won't say her name because like we're not like super good friends, we're just acquaintances. But there's this group on Facebook called Chicken Keeping 101, and I highly recommend it to people. It's super great. People are usually pretty helpful in there. You get the rude ones, but you're gonna get that anywhere. But some girl was like, I got drunk and went to TSC and took a picture with one of those giant metal roosters and then set up a GoFundMe account. And guess what? She got the money for the rooster. I mean, people were making some pretty bad cock jokes on there.
Oh
But
yeah.
she got the $200 or whatever it is to get it. And then the pictures of her with it are just freaking hilarious. But you know what? I guess when you drunkenly set your mind to something, sometimes dreams do come true. So I don't know, maybe maybe you just need to set up a GoFundMe account for the giant chicken and for the donkey.
Oh my goodness, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, but I saw her post, so I was like, I feel like we need to be friends. And then she's like, I just looked at your Facebook profile for 2 minutes and decided we could be friends, so I'm sending you a friend request. And now we're like awkward silent friends that stare at each other's stuff and don't really say anything.
Oh yeah, that's kind of how it happens sometimes though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying meeting new people on the internet though. Like my book club has over 100 people in it now,
Oh,
which is
sweet.
a little weird for me. I'm not used to like, I don't know, my audience isn't super big. I don't have a ton of readers on my blog. I've been doing it for over a year. I do it because I really love it. And, I'm hoping to like inspire that one person that's too scared to like, do the thing that they need to make all their crazy farming dreams come true.
Yeah.
That was like the whole reason why I started it. So now that I'm like talking to 100 people in my Facebook group, it's a little intimidating, but I feel like I'm getting used to it and everybody's really nice. So,
Well, that's good. And if they weren't, you could just kick them out because it's your group. So there's that.
right. Yeah, I could totally do that. I hate to be that person
Yeah,
though.
but if somebody's being rude, like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would just get a little power hungry and be like, you leave now. That's like the difference between Sam and Bev.
Well, I do have group rules. Like,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. I think when we got to like 50 people, I was like, all right, I gotta like start making some rules because, if we get a lot of people, I just want everybody to kind of know like what's expected here. And so the number one rule is like, don't be a jerk. There's like 100 million ways to do everything when it comes to like taking care of your animals and taking care of your homestead and taking care of your farm. And I don't subscribe to the idea that there's only one right way to do anything.
Oh, totally.
Like, there's just have not been enough, like scientific studies out there studying, all of these specific approaches, to animal husbandry or this type of animal husbandry. Like, we're not big farmers. So the things that they do at like giant chicken farms, obviously, we're not doing those in our
Right,
backyard.
right.
And, part of the reason why we have chickens is because we want eggs laid from happy hens and not factory farm
Right.
chickens. I mean, or that's one of the reasons why I raise chickens.
Exactly.
So I don't know if you noticed this about taking care of goats. When I put together their first aid kit, there aren't a ton of stuff that's specific to goats. Almost every like thing that you do for goats is off label.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not really for a goat. There just aren't enough products out there for it. But they've got those sensitive rumens. They gotta, like keep stuff on hand to, take care of scours or, anything else they end up with because of, something. And it doesn't say, like goat rumen medication on it.
Right. Yeah. No, we always keep ivermectin, I think it's called, which is like a horse dewormer, but you can use it on goats. And then we
Yep.
keep just probiotics around because Biscuit had like goat poop looks like rabbit poop, like his small little pellets, right? Well, he was like pooping, but it was like clumped together.
Hmm.
So I think it might have just been like he started losing his winter coat and maybe a little bit of stress of the new roommates coming in. So we just gave him probios for a couple of days or one day. And then again, I think it was like 7 to 10 days later, and then it cleared it right up. But yeah,
Yeah.
you want to keep some of that stuff on hand, but you're right. Like sometimes you have to do a lot of Googling and research to find out, oh, this is says it's for horses, but you can use it with this measurement of, to give your goat, even though it doesn't say for goats on there. So it's definitely tricky. I think it's trickier than even chickens because I feel like there are more chicken products out there than goat stuff most of the time.
Chickens have become so mainstream. I mean, so many people can just have them in their backyards, whereas like goats aren't necessarily, like a small lot backyard animal unless you have neighbors that really don't mind the noise.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, even my baby goats, like those goats can yell. Like it's
Oh.
pretty insane.
Oh, for sure. I went outside before I got on to record with you to close things down with my husband, and Diana came out and she was just like, "Meh." And I'm
What was
like,
she like?
"Meh." Like it was like the longest, most like just saddest thing. And I'm like, I'm coming, baby girl, it's all right. And she's like, "Meh, meh." I'm like, thank God, like our neighbors are so tolerant and not super close to us.
I know when I
Uh,
was building our pasture, it's on like so we have like this huge, well, I mean, I think it's huge. It's 3.5 acres. It's probably not that huge to all of you listeners that have, like giant, giant farms. But I needed to just, square off like a half an acre for them because they're so small. They don't need
mhm.
all 3.5 acres. And
Yeah.
I can't see most of it because it like goes down a hill. And I kind of want to keep an eye on the goats. Well, unfortunately, the really flat part that you can see really well from our house happens to be on the side of the pasture that's like closest to our neighbor's house. Our neighbors
Oh,
are not very close. So we've got like a straight shot, like no buffer to their house. But luckily they're really nice and their grandkids come over and play with the baby goats all the time now. So I don't think they're gonna mind. But still, it was like, oh man,
yeah.
like if I had like neighbors that hated me or like hated animals, like this would not work. I would have to find somewhere else for them to go.
Oh,
Because I'm imagining
yeah.
they're totally going to hang out on that side of the fence because they're going to know that that's where all the cute grandkids come from. And they're going to be screaming for the little
Aw.
kids to come out and play with them.
Come play. Come play. For sure.
Which reminds me, I got some cool spools dropped off today for the goats. So, like those big giant spools that the electric wire comes
Oh,
on. Yeah, the guys from the
yeah.
cable company came by and dropped off a big giant one. My neighbor is good friends with them. It was like in a trailer. That's how big this thing was.
Oh my
And then my
gosh.
husband, on his way home from the airport, he stopped at another friend's house and got a smaller one from him because he had pulled one from his work 'cause he works for the electric company. So we're gonna kind of like put him out there and maybe build some little bridges for him in between him so they can have, some things to balance on. Because man, those goats love to jump and they love to balance.
Oh yeah, they're gonna love that. My goats are jealous and I haven't even told them yet. They're gonna be like, get in on that, Mom. Go find us some new stuff.
Why don't you have any spools? I need to find some tractor tires. I've been meaning to put out a call for some of those because have you seen those tractor tires that are like buried part of the way
Oh, yeah.
in the dirt so that the
Mm-hmm.
goats can like jump on top of it and then like jump to the next one? I totally want to do that. Digging that is going to be a pain in the ass, but
Yeah, my husband was thinking of doing that, and then we decided the digging part would suck. So we just have like one on its side of above ground and then put like a big barrel in the middle of it so they can like jump to the tire and then onto the barrel, and the barrel makes fun noises with their hooves.
oh,
So yeah, they really enjoy that. Speaking of hooves, oh my gosh, we hoof trimmed all five of them on Sunday. And the goats that we got back in January, the older ones, Cal and Diana, had never had their hooves trimmed
ooh,
ever. And they're like a year old now. So we had procrastinated too because we were thinking, oh, we'll take them to the vet to do it. But we decided just to bite the bullet and do it ourselves. One, because we were procrastinating and we were no better than, the person that didn't do it before us. And can't really throw rocks at glass houses when we procrastinated on that ourselves. But they were so bad. But Diana and Cal were so well behaved when we did it.
really?
It was insane. I wonder if they realized what we were doing and maybe thought, hey, this might make me feel better. Because they were so bad. They were like, the male especially, and it might be because of like how tubby he is. They were almost like grown together. So instead of like two little hooves, it was like one.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was actually super easy for my husband to clip off because it was very easy to tell where you could cut to. And yeah, but they just sat on my lap because I usually have the task of holding them while he trims, but I actually took a turn and trimmed some of like Biscuit and Maya's, which they're way more rambunctious about it. I probably would have had an easier time with the other two, but I was like, no, I need to learn to do this and get over like my anxiety of having to do everything perfectly because that's just not how it works in the farm life. But yeah, I did okay, but I still need practice. But the task of holding five goats in a row while they're kind of twitchy and impatient, like my arms got such a workout. It was pretty incredible. Like farm chores, I think I posed a question like a week ago on my Instagram, like, do farm chores count? Oh, that totally counted that day. It was exhausting.
yeah, farm chores count as a workout.
Oh, for sure.
I'm still trying to do a regular workout, but I think that's just because I started like so far behind. I think I called myself like a weak, whiny baby woman. I like had no muscles whatsoever, and my knees were so bad. Like they cracked every time I would get down on the ground, and I had trouble like even standing up from like crouching at like a stoop, like, like
Oh,
crouching in like a stooped
yeah.
position, which sounds so weird. Like now, because I've been doing that workout program that I talked about in my like, I wrote a little blog post about it. It was called Fit Enough to Farm. Now that I'm doing like tons of squats and like weighted things, I can do that no problem. But it's so weird to me that I used to not be able to do that. I'm like, whoa, like I don't have enough work around here that I don't think I could have worked up to that without an exercise program. But eventually I won't have to do an exercise program anymore. There will be so much to do out there. Like I'll be stooping and standing and carrying animals around and schlepping bales of straw and feed bags and yeah, yesterday I had to refill the chicken coop's food. We keep a big old trash can in there and fits two big bags of feed in it.
Hmm.
I just picked him up and carried him to the coop. I didn't even like get the mule out or anything for that. We've got like a utility vehicle thing that I move stuff around the property on because the property is so big. But I didn't even bother with the feed bags. I just went and picked him up out of the barn, threw him on my shoulder, and walked him out. And then
Nice.
put him in the trash can by myself. I was like, hey, I'm getting a little stronger.
Look at you go.
I can do a few things. Well, thanks for listening to Did I have too much beer
How much
today?
did Bev drink? Yeah.
No, seriously. This was only a 16-ounce beer. How is this possible? It must just be because it's so late in the middle of the week.
I mean, I had half of my wine and I can still say coccidiosis. So
See, I still can't say that damn word. I'm never gonna get it.
just drink another beer and blame it on that. It'll be fine.
Blame it on the beer. Well, thanks for listening to episode number 6 of We Drink and We Farm Things.
Yes.
I'm
And
Bev.
I'm Sam. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We know some of our iTunes fans had some technical difficulties for episode 5. So if you did miss that one and it's still not working for you, no matter how hard we try to get it to work, just head over to drinkandfarm.com and you can listen to it there and find all of our other episodes as well.
And if you haven't yet, go check out our Patreon. We would be eternally grateful, even if you just take a look at it. And if you think of something that you think might be like a fun reward or level for our Patreon, feel free to shoot us a message and let us know. We're always open for feedback. And we really put that together so that we could provide some of the things that we had heard that you guys were kind of into or wanted. So yeah, we'll totally take your feedback on that if you've got anything.
I mean, I think we're pretty cool, but you know.
We do have a lot of fun.
Oh, we do. We do, especially over on Instagram at Drink and Farm, where we sometimes post questions to our viewers, or not our viewers, gosh, our listeners. I mean, unless you guys creep on us. I guess you creep on us on the internet, so maybe you kind of view us. But anyways, that's besides the point. It's the wine talking. Go over to Drink and Farm and give us a follow and interact with us there. Send us a direct message if you have other ideas for episodes or just questions for us, things you want us to talk about. We do read those, and we do try to respond, but life on the farm's a little cray-cray, so sometimes we aren't as speedy as we would like.
Oh, and I did take some pictures like while we were recording this episode, and I'm gonna upload those over to Patreon. And I'm pretty sure that I heard that Sam did a couple of things also.
Yeah.
So we'll get those up there so you can kind of get like a sneak peek behind like what really goes into putting one of these episodes together. And maybe I'll do a little recording or some photographing of like the editing process and whatnot. I got to be a little fast this week because it's Tuesday and this episode has to be scheduled to go out at midnight on Friday. So I'm going to be cutting a little close.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would take a picture of my space for recording for you guys, but it legit looks like a hoarder situation right now, and I'm a little embarrassed. Like, I have 3 holiday ducks that are like, they're supposed to be like Christmas ducks that go outside and light up, and they're just chilling in this room with me, staring at me, and I'm gonna clean this up before I take a picture for you guys, so it looks like I have my life together.
I kind of feel like you need to at least take a picture of those ducks and share it,
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
because I cannot picture that, and it sounds amazing.
They're pretty cool.
So I'll tell you a secret. The area that I'm recording in, I totally cleaned it up. Normally, it's covered in clean clothes because I don't like to put my clothes away after I wash them. I
Oh,
just drape
yeah.
them over this couch. I have like this little tiny half couch in our bedroom, so that's where I record at. And so I cleaned it off today just so I could take a picture of like my laptop and my beer and like my headset like hanging out in our little recording area. I was like, ooh, this might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And maybe I can actually keep it clean because I like sitting here while it's clean.
Yeah, I hate putting away the laundry too.
We'll have to see how the sound sounds
Oh, yes.
because
Yes.
I'm kind of wondering if all of the clothes missing has made me sound more echoey. We'll find out.
Oh. Hopefully we just didn't like record for over an hour and 15 minutes and because your area is clean, it sounds different. That would just go to show you sometimes it's better to not clean. Don't put your clothes away.
Right? You need some sound dampening. Oh wait, but we were signing this episode off.
We're so bad at this today.
Thanks for
Yeah, thanks,
listening.
guys. This is what happens when Sam drinks a bottle and a half of wine in just over an hour. So you're welcome. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.